and this is why I don't like to talk, is because when you talk, you release dopamine regarding your goals, right? So if you say, oh, I'm gonna do this, you are releasing the dopamine of that potential experience. So you get high on dreaming.
Telling people what you're going to do instead of doing it.
You get off on dreams.
You know, people make careers out of it.
So your goal is to transcend that, to shut up,
Lead by example.
and to level up.
I want to talk a little bit more about your story. You mentioned coming here with little to your name, and then you skimmed over a lot of different activities.
Yeah, bro. So I worked all the peasant jobs when I got here. So my uncle was a pilot, and when you're pilots, they allow you to sneak in family members if there's open slots and things of this nature. So since my parents couldn't afford a flight, my uncle let me sit on the little flight attendant seat, which, believe it or not, they let you. And I sat there and I went to America, worked in different odd jobs trying to figure it out. Did pressure washing, basketball courts, cleaning toilets, working in kitchens, cleaning dishes, doing the whole nine. And then from that point forward, I kind of really got into the markets. I got interested in entrepreneurship and self-development. University never really cut it for me, never really made sense. It didn't make sense because the people that I was learning from, that were teaching me, they weren't doers of what they were teaching. I had a professor of international business that had never run an international business, and in fact had never been overseas. So, okay, you may be book smart, but that doesn't mean you understand reality or how life works. You need to understand culture, cultural barriers, understand norms and habits, how people interact, how people move, language, dialects, hand gestures, motions, things that offend people. These things you can't collect in a textbook. You need to learn through experience. So right now I'm really focused on just leveling up. And that's kind of been my journey throughout my entire life. In 2020, after doing really well in e-commerce, I dumped all my money into crypto. I was kind of telling you a little bit about the story. I had buddies that were investing in the market that I deemed to be more intelligent than I was. So the story goes that I'm with one of my buddies and we're at Chipotle, and I no longer eat at Chipotle. This was when I was in my past life. Fast food is not ideal for you, but we can talk about that later. And I get my Chipotle bowl, and then my buddy's like, hey, can you cover me? Like, you're a crypto multimillionaire. And he's like, yeah, I don't have money. I'm like, what do you mean you don't have money? He's like, oh, all my money's in crypto. I'm like, okay, sounds good. I went home and put all my money in crypto. Now, it wasn't just like, oh, I went and gambled on my money. It was, I went home, I did my research, and as a process kind of developed, it wasn't like a gamble. Oh, I'm gambling on this dude. It was, I took the data sets and the information of other people that were playing the game, and I utilized it to my advantage. So I invested in a ton of different projects that were at a sub like $25, $30 million market cap. Graph, Pancake Swap, which I ended up holding 1% of the circulating supply, which was crazy. That was super fun. I was the cake farmer. And I introduced kind of DeFi to a lot of the online digital space, and then got into NFTs, played around there, and just leveling up. But right now I'm not really in crypto. The big issue with FTX kind of made me reassess kind of how I wanted to move in this space. And I think that so many of the good people that should be innovators in the space are actually on the sidelines. So I encourage anybody that wants to get into the space, that has good intentions, get into the game, get into the space, build companies. Hey, why can't we have an exchange that actually holds customer funds? Is it that hard to build a good product, a quality product? So that's the process that I'm in right now, just building with the money that I've made and utilizing the money that I've made and reinvesting that into myself to make the video game character more powerful.
Okay. I was gonna go a completely different direction, but we have to talk about it because you brought it up. It's not a crypto video, but we have to talk about it. I've spent 24 hours. I don't know how much time I've spent with you since I got here, and you've talked about using your wealth to build a lot of different things yourself. When you talk about the corruption and the you don't like about the big exchanges, people in crypto, is that in the Belmar roadmap? Like, are you gonna build your own?
Time will tell.
Is it a possibility, would you say?
Everything is a possibility. All things are on the table.
Okay.
The truth is, it's possible.
Okay.
but we have to find the right people to get involved. And it's not a one-man show. It needs to take a lot of people that have good intentions to rally behind building dope, building things of value and things of meaning, and being honest with each other. Like this idea of wag me, like we're all gonna make it, all this fades away really, really fast when you're left holding the bag.
It's a lie.
Yeah, so you need to understand what the markets are made of. The markets are to move money from the impatient to the patient, and from the greedy to the people that are patient and sustainable. And that's been happening since the dawn of mankind in different markets that continue to innovate. But as we love cryptocurrency being decentralized, we also have a factor of Wild West kind of gunslinging scenarios where it's everybody's in it for themselves. Sure, you have technology, you can track certain things, but it's a dangerous place out there as well. So you have to be playing, understanding that the person behind a meme page, right, may not have the best intentions in mind, and that you shouldn't be relying on them to get rich. You need to develop your own strategy, your own plan, and you need to build yourself up to have the confidence to be the person whose information you listen to. You're listening to everybody else, but how much time do you spend listening to yourself? How much time do you actually have conversations with yourself about your personal development and leveling up? Most people, not often enough. So that's kind of what I'm focusing on now. I have the privilege to do that, you know, because when you're on hustle mode, it's very hard to kind of reset your mind. But if you have enough money, right, when all you need is enough money to be able to focus on yourself full time. Like what would happen if for 8 hours a day, 7 hours a day, the focus of your day, your job was to level up? That would be amazing. That would be unbelievable. You'd be ahead of your competitors. You'd be ahead of your potential enemies, I would call it, or business rivals. You're going to have so many advantages on a personal level, on a business level, on an intellectual level, and you're going to see things from a bigger perspective. So if you can beat yourself and you can win and conquer self, you can conquer everything.
So what is that when you say level up, right? Let's say, okay, I've become successful enough. I've made enough money. I have time to spend on myself. I need to know what that means to level up, right? What does that actually look like on a day-to-day basis? You're stretching a lot now. I know you eat very well, but what does that mean? Getting smarter, getting more knowledgeable, consuming more data sets?
It's becoming an intuitive individual, a person that's in tune and is present in every action that they take. You know, like, why do you do what you do? And you ask yourself, why do I eat this donut? Or why do I watch this video? Wow. And you actually start realizing that many of the things that we do are ludicrous. And if you can have that self-conversation should be the motivator to push you to get to the next level. And a lot of people's self-talk is very negative. And the reason it's negative is because they don't trust themselves. And of course you can't trust yourself. You look at yourself in the mirror and you look like you look at your bank account, you feel like shit. You go to bed, you sleep 8 hours, you wake up tired, right? You go to a job that you hate. You're in a relationship that you don't enjoy to be in. So what in your life is pushing you to be motivated and to win? No wonder your mind is like, nah, I can't trust you, because everything in your life that you're doing is self-sabotage. So what you have to do is you have to start accumulating small wins. You have to start waking up on time. You have to start eating clean. You have to start cleaning around you. You have to start exercising. You have to start listening to positive messages and not listening to all this music from the system. Start listening to some classical music. Start listening to some, some lo-fi. Start listening to something that has frequencies that literally elevate your spirit. But we're out here listening to all this garbage, and then we wonder, why is it that our life is so So do the simple things, right? Build the foundational building blocks of your life, and then everything else can be built upon it. And I think that people always want the 10 best tips of this, the 10 best tips for the fastest whatever. This is going to be the best exercises for 2023. No, just do the fundamentals. Focus on doing the fundamentals well. And once you do the fundamentals well and you master them, and that takes years. And I'm still in the process of mastering and understanding the fundamentals myself. But once I have that foundation, that base, I'm indestructible.
Okay, let me ask you this. What are the most obvious self-sabotage things that the average person does?
Great question, brother. Food. People eat like they don't know what they're eating, right? So I was talking with Brett yesterday. I was telling him how 50, 60 years ago, chronic illnesses in adults were about 7%. Today is over 60% of adults in America have chronic illnesses. So what happened? And that's the journey you have to go through of, is cancer normal? Is me getting a tumor normal? Is me having Alzheimer's normal? Is me having dementia normal? And you start breaking down why things actually happen, and you realize, whoa, hold up. The food that I'm eating isn't healthy. The water that I'm drinking is poisonous. The toothpaste that I have full of fluoride and alcohol is absolutely destroying my teeth and destroying my system, right? The fluoride in the water is poisonous. It's calcifying my pineal gland, and it's up my mental receivers of information. People are dumb. They're like, "Ooh," all day. It's believable, but they're being dumbed down by the food. That's the first one. The second one is social media. And it's ironic because people are going to be watching this on social media. If you can become a connoisseur of your feed and not allow the algorithm to control you and understand how to curate your content, that's one thing. But a lot of people are led by the algo, and the algorithm is designed for addiction. These companies, they bring in psychologists, right, to create systems and create actions that cause addiction. For example, you go on TikTok or you go on Instagram and you swipe down, right? And it does the motion like this, right? It's to mimic the casinos. When you go to the casino, luck, dopamine hit, dopamine hit, dopamine hit, dopamine hit. Dude, how many times a day? Like a lab rat.
It's classical training.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So once you understand the nature of why things happen, you begin to understand that the media around you, what you're being told, they're narratives that are curated by other people. And your goal is to figure out, why is this person saying what they're saying? Not what are they saying, but what's the intention behind what they're saying? What is the goal, the objective? And get to know the character behind the message and not trust people so much. Don't even trust us. Do your own research. When people look at my content sometimes on TikTok, I get screenshots sent to me by my team where people are like, source, trust me, bro. Bro, source, don't trust me. Do your own research. That is your source. So just because I'm giving you an opinion, it's simply an opinion on my perspective, my worldview. That's going to be a data set for you, whether you like it or not. Take it or leave it. I don't give a f. It is what it is. So we're being poisoned through the food. We're being poisoned through our minds. We're being poisoned through the system. And then finally, I think we're being poisoned with the entire narrative of what it actually means to be a man, what it means to be a good entrepreneur, what it means to live a life of purpose. You know, I think a lot of people wake up and they don't know why they do what they do. They don't really have a purpose. No wonder you're depressed, right? You have no meaning. But you can attribute yourself meaning by doing things that are bigger than yourself. And that requires self-belief, which goes back to the small actions. So those are things that I see that are complicated. Believe that if people can establish them as solid pillars in their life, they could be in a better place.
I have something else I'm going to ask you, but first I'm going to look right at this camera and reinforce something he just said, which is that you're talking about dopamine, right? You get a lot more dopamine from getting advice than you do from taking steps to act on it. So I know it's a little bit ironic that we sit on camera and are like, don't listen to people, just do it. The most important you can do if you watch this video is go do one thing that we talk about in this video. Go do one thing and you're ahead of 99% of the population.
And that's the first thing. The second thing, and this is why I don't like to talk, is because when you talk, you release dopamine regarding your goals, right? So if you say, oh, I'm going to do this, you are releasing the dopamine of that potential experience. So you get high on dreaming.
Telling people what you're going to do instead of doing it.
You get off on dreams.
We know people make careers out of it.
So your goal is to transcend that, to shut the up,
lead by example,
and to level up.